Any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic.
So the Arthur C. Clarke Center is the Arthur C. Clarke Center for Human Imagination, and it incorporates all those three different things. So it's inspired by Arthur C. Clarke, the famous icon of the 20th century, who was a scientist, a technologist, and a renowned science fiction writer. We're a center, which means that we bring people from all over the UCSD campus together for all kinds of different events and activities. We do research, we do podcasts like this, we do film events, we do projects, and we meet with our faculty members, our scientists, our students, and reach out from here all over the world. But we're the Center for Human Imagination. So what's human imagination all about? Well, we're literally interested in the faculty of human imagination, that emergent property of our mind that allows us to create new things. Is this internal activity that allows us to think things, see things, hear things, and create new ideas. Now, how do we study that? Well, here at the Clarke Center, we have our laboratory on the neuroscience of imagination. Here in San Diego, we have one of the greatest collection of tools for studying the mind in action. We have tools like fMRI, MRI scans that study the brain as it uses its fuel. We have EEG systems, brain electrical recordings. We have MEG systems, magnetic recordings of the brain. We have all kinds of tools, also computer information. And our laboratory here at the Clarke Center is going to use virtual reality as our laboratory for studying imagination. What we will be doing is creating a workstation where we help people imagine things that they see. We will then bring it into the virtual reality system and measure their brain as they see the things they have in their imagination, see what they see in the virtual world, and see objects in the real world. And what we'll be able to do is measure how the different processes as images go through the brain from what we see and from the centers of brain where we imagine, and that will tell us where visual imagination is coming from. So one of our big themes out here at the Clarke Center is inspired by Arthur C. Clarke, which is space and cosmology. We do all kinds of collaboration, and I have a special relationship with my co-director, Dr. Brian Keating, who's the director of the ACTS Center for Experimental Cosmology, who just happens to be building a telescope that's going to help us understand the Big Bang. So with Brian and other collaborators, we do all kinds of projects. We're looking at quantum mechanics across the universe. We're looking for alien intelligence out there. And we have colloquia and projects that are really fun, again, with many local UCSD collaborators and people around the world. We've also had our first Arthur C. Clarke space mission, the board's mission, which is the Brain Organoids for Advanced Research and Development in Space. I got that right, with brilliantly led by my colleague Alison Moitry over at the Stem Cell Institute, where we were able to take brain stem cells and take them to space just this last summer, and we got to see our own rocket launch on a SpaceX Falcon 9, where a special package was taken up to space station, the International Space Station, and kept our brain organoids, our stem cells, up there alive for a whole month. We'll be having future missions of probably 6 flights of stem cells taking laboratory specimens to the space station, where they'll be investigating the influence of weightlessness on their growth and their propagation, which is a huge, huge issue in stem cells. So another tribute to Sir Arthur C. Clarke is cultivation of science fiction, and we do that in a whole variety of ways. Our wonderful Clarke Center administrator is teaching high school students on how to write science fiction stories, and that's Patrick Coleman, and a special shout out to Patrick for all the great work he does at the Clarke Center. Importantly, Patrick is also the administrator of the preeminent science fiction writers workshop in the world, called the Clarion Science Fiction Writers Workshop. Clarion has been around for over 40 years, and for the last 14 years, we've been privileged to host it here at UCSD. We had a special privilege a couple of years ago where we had Ted Chiang, who wrote the short story, The Story of Your Life, that ultimately became the movie Arrival. Ted had been a student and then an instructor, and now is a senior mentor of the whole program, and it was a real privilege to have him come here, and he brought a copy of the movie that we got to see. And that's another part of what we do here is our science fiction film series, where we tend to have a intensive discussion around a science fiction movie, where we'll talk to the creators, like the actors or directors and other people who produce the movie on the creative side, but also scientific commentators who can tell us about the topics like DNA in the movie Gattaca, or aliens in E.T., and it's a really fun activity. One of my favorite things at the Clarke Center is our science fiction film series. Along with that is our privilege to have the Arthur C. Clarke Award for Speculative Design as part of the Raw Science Film Festival. And a shout out to my friend Carrie Kukrow, who does a fantastic job running the Science Fiction Festival. And it's about depiction of science in science fiction movies. And this is something we have to get right. We have to communicate better about how science is conveyed in science fiction stories, so we can be fun and fantastical, but at the same time we want to be human and real. And that's really what so many science fiction stories are about. It's about the human angle by taking this unusual perspective. Workshops on Imagination are the new development program that we're initiating here at the Clarke Center. We'll have public-facing workshops that will help you cultivate your own imagination. We'll have intensive programs that we'll be bringing to sponsors to help both individuals and groups work together. One of our big themes is going to be the neurodiversity of imagination. It's kind of surprising that there are many different versions of people's imagination, and we need to understand that and convey that so that we can work effectively in small working groups for all kinds of different human projects and human initiatives. For more information about the Clarke Center, come to our website, imagination.ucsd.edu, where you can find more podcasts, you can find about our research projects and our previous events, and you can sign up for our mailing list and get notified about things coming up in the future.
Any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic.